Alright, welcome back everybody. So, I want to know, just a quick question. How did the fight go for you guys? For me personally, I told myself and I told my friends that if Mayweather and Pacquiao went the entire 12 rounds, it would go to Mayweather in the cards. Because it's pretty much that's how it usually works when you're fighting Mayweather. You gotta knock him out. If you don't take him out, you're not making it. You're not gonna beat him. I mean, there's always this controversy where people say the fight is stolen from someone, but let's face it, we have no control over that. We as people can complain all we want, but it's not going to change anything because sometimes these fights are preset. There's a lot of controversy everywhere, and hey, sometimes it doesn't go our way. So I do apologize to those who are huge Pacquiao fans and feel that the fight was stolen. Happens. Worse things have happened in sports history. So, I don't expect a rematch either. Odds are there won't ever be a rematch from this because this fight took 5 years to coordinate, and even worse, it's gonna take it probably would take like another 2 years to get a rematch. So that's about that. All right, now onto the team. So you guys may notice there's been a change. I have dropped heatran for Hydriegon. Now the reason I added the Hydra is because, well, essentially I felt that I needed other ways to handle other Pokemon because I feel like with heatran there, I became a sitting duck whenever I came in front of a Landorus. Adding Hydreigon, I am no longer a sitting duck in front of a Landorus because it's a choice scarf Hydreigon, so I can get it. I can hit a Landorus first. I could switch in on Earthquakes. I can Draco Meteor Mega Salamence. I'm adding a lot of offense to my team because I feel like that helped out the most. Because heatran is an offensive Pokemon, but I feel like the lack of speed it has and the ability to become a sitting duck out there, especially when paired with Mawile. So this way I can like switch Hydreigon in, and if I feel like there's a close combat coming, I have Suicune, Thundurus, and other Pokemon to switch in with. If anything, I could switch into Gengar to avoid being close combated, and that's about it. I mean, despite all the speed control, I feel like I need a speedy Pokemon to get off attacks first. So that would make Hydreigon a very viable Pokemon to an extent for this team, and it'd be beauty. I tried him out for a few matches earlier, and it did work out very well. It's given me a lot of coverage that I didn't have before. So let's just jump straight into battles. Hopefully we find our first opponent quickly, and hopefully as we do, alright. Just Munchin has joined the battle. Alright, let's get this going then. Hopefully it all goes well. And yeah, okay, there it is. As he has Aegislash, Sylveon, Landorus, Kangaskhan, Thundurus, and Suicune. Alright, rather scary, menacing team right from the start. And as far as I'm concerned, Hydreigon is really strong against my opponent here. The only issue would be that Kangaskhan and Sylveon. Other than that, though, Hydreigon can hit most of his team very well. Alright, let's see. So, right off the bat, how do I want to open? My concern would be a Kangaskhan Sylveon opening, and as we get someone joining to watch the battle. Alright. So, I'm actually going to open with Gengar, seeing as I can Icy Wind, Sludge Bomb, just get solid damage on most of his team, even Shadow Ball. Yeah, so the Gengar opening is just right. Now, the next Pokemon would be someone who could probably handle all of Gengar's weaknesses, and handling Gengar's weaknesses would be example like Psychic attacks or any Shadow Balls coming in, but Gengar can handle himself pretty well there to an extent. So I'm actually going to open Suicune Gengar in case there's like another Pokemon out there I can hit pretty hard and effectively. I'm actually bringing the Hydreigon in case I can't take out my opponent's Pokemon. Maybe get that Draco Meteor in the late game, and Mawile. I feel like these four will do the best as far as I'm concerned at the moment. The issue is, I don't have any quick ways to take out the Kangaskhan, but I'm not too worried seeing as a Mawile. My Mawile can do about 90% to a Kangaskhan. I can't KO it, but my team can't get damage off on it. As my opponent does open. Alright, so mirrored matchups. Awesome. What I'm actually going to do is, I'm actually going to Sludge Bomb that slot. I want to Sludge Bomb the Sylveon slot, but I can fear a switch in here. But regardless, there's actually not too much risk in Sludge Bombing the Sylveon. But Suicune might also protect. He might predict me to taunt, so I'm just actually going to Sludge Bomb the Sylveon anyways, and go for a Tailwind of my own. Reason being, in case his Suicune goes for a Tailwind. He might switch in Aegislash here. I'm not too worried about what attacks he would get off, seeing as I'm going to get a Tailwind of my own off. We'll match each other's Tailwinds, trading Tailwinds. That's probably a solid turn. You know, other moves would be to Shadow Ball Sylveon, but in case he switches into Aegis Slash. But I don't want to overpredict too quickly here. I kind of want to, you know, set a pace for the game. As the Sludge Bomb connects, perfect, and poisons Sylveon. So his Suicune gets a Tailwind off, and so does mine. And his Sylveon actually goes for Shadow Ball on mine. Alright, on my Gengar. Alright, so that could not have been a better turn one, actually. As I'm actually gonna Sludge Bomb his Suicune here. And I'm going to Scald the Sylveon in case of any switch-ins or anything. I doubt he'll switch in. He might protect, but I want to Sludge Bomb the Suicune. I just need to get some damage off. As far as I'm concerned, Gengar has done his job here, as he does switch out into the Thundurus. So I get a nice Sludge Bomb onto Suicune and a Scald on the Thundurus, doing reasonable damage as he goes with a Snarl. Alright, very smart move with my opponent. But I can now switch in my Hydreigon here, which I feel is a very smart move on my part right now. Okay, I am going to go for a Draco Meteor onto that slot to KO it. Yeah, he might switch in his Sylveon, but I don't feel like that's going to happen right now, seeing as I could actually, you know, Ice Beam that slot as well, take out Sylveon. And I'm going to Scald his Suicune, maybe pick up a potential burn here. So the Draco Meteor would be clutch if it connects. And as you guys can see, I still have Mawile in the back. So Mawile is a safety precaution, because if he does have Sylveon later on, I don't know if he's going to predict this Draco Meteor and switch in Sylveon. Maybe my opponent isn't the predicting type. As I connect the Draco, it does not KO. Oh, wow. Ooh, just missed out on the KO. As he Thunderbolts my Suicune and Ice Beams Hydreigon. And wow. Ooh, that's... did not pick up the burn on that turn, as I'm doing the exact amount. I guess another Draco would KO from this range. And I'm actually going to protect with my Suicune. I doubt he'll predict another Draco Meteor coming in. And another Ice Beam won't knock me out, as, yeah, I do get the second Draco, and it does pick up the knockout. And he does Ice Beam me. Not too worried. And as both our Tailwinds peter out. Alright. Now, he might have the Kangaskhan here, which really worries me. That's actually my biggest concern. But, Sylveon on low HP is actually helping me out more than anything. So what I'm actually going to do is, I already know what he's planning. So I'm just going to Draco Meteor the Suicune. And I'm actually going to get it. I'm going to re-get my Tailwind up. Reason being is he can't really hit me that hard. And, you know, Hydreigon's lost this turn. And as he goes for the Hyper Voice, I get my Tailwind off. He gets his Hyper Voice off. That actually might... I did not calculate the KO range. And as I appear to be down now. Yeah, that was a bad move on my part. My bad. I got a little too far ahead. But that's kind of what I was anticipating. I could have switched in Mawile for the Hydreigon and done a bit better. Now, I'm just gonna Mega Evolve and play rough the Suicune, seeing as it's probably most likely a Choice Spec Sylveon. So that Hyper Voice is still gonna do a lot of damage to me, and I should not even be Hyper Voice plus Scald should KO my Mawile this turn. As yeah, the Hydreigon just missing out on the KO right there. Pretty sure it was a damage roll. If not, well, maybe he's EV to survive from that range. But in retrospect, I should have Ice Beamed that Thundurus slot, because then Draco Meteor would have definitely picked up the KO. That gave me reason to swap out my Sylveon. I mean, swap out my Hydreigon and then swap back in later, bring him back in later fresh, and get those Draco Meteors off to finish off the game, or a Dark Pulse. As it is actually just Landorus here, but I do play rough that slot. I play rough the wrong slot, yeah. As a Scald should burn me, yeah. Typical. RNG's is hating on me today. And I'm just going to play rough the Landorus slot, finishing up the game. He's probably going to go for a superpower, or quicking if he wants to. But it's game. Yeah, so he goes for the Rock Slide, I guess. Rock Slide, doing a fair amount of damage. Scald should pick up the KO, and GG to my opponent. This was a fun game. Again, I'm still adjusting to the team. Draco Meteor missing out on the KO kind of did set the pace for the game, because if it had KO'd, you know, I'd be able to switch out with health, a bit more health than I should have, and other things. Another play to make was I could have actually switched out Hydreigon that turn, take the Ice Beam into the Mawile slot, and protect with Suicune, and then come back and attack and finish off a different way. Alright, now let's look for another battle, and let's hope I don't keep losing, because I feel like I've been on a losing streak lately, and happens, you know? Can't win them all, and you do lose from time to time. Another fan of the shinies, wow. Alright, so right away, what am I thinking? Tailwind is the first thing I'm thinking. Why? Because Tailwind paired up with a Kangaskhan's Water Spout hits like a truck. So, right off the bat, I'm almost certain of what's going to happen. So I'm just going to open with Gengar anyways. Gengar is my right away first open, and I'm actually going to open Gengar Thunderous here. Paralyze things right away, honestly. You know, I can hit that Ludicolo rather hard. I can hit almost anything on this team really hard with this Gengar. Paralyzing anything that's in my way, and then I'm going to take this is a match for Virizion, seeing as I can Leaf Blade a half his team for moderate damage. And the last slot for me is actually going to go 2 Mawile due to the fact that I can get Sucker Punches off. And I feel like I need those Sucker Punches because most of my attacks will put his team into Sucker Punch KO range. As my opponent opens out with Polyludi. Alright, just as I was expecting him to. Now, most people, when they see a Ludicolo, Politoed open, they tend to double up into a Gengar slot because Gengar can't get that Sludge Bomb off. And I'm going to Sludge Bomb the Ludicolo slot because he can't fake me out. And I'm actually going to Thunder Wave the Politoed. I would Thunder Wave Ludicolo, but he might fake out the Thunderous instead. As he fakes out the Thunderous, I flinch, but I get my Sludge Bomb off, doing some really nice damage and the poison, as he does Scald that slot. Alright, reasonable damage here. Now, I can expect to lose Gengar this turn. I don't mind losing Gengar this turn, actually. So I'm actually just going to Sludge Bomb. And I'm actually not worried about Ludicolo. So I'm actually going to Thunder Wave the Politoed. Reason being is, you never know when the Parahacks will be on your side. Most people would say I should Thunderbolt this turn. But I really don't mind a Paralyzed Politoed right now. Actually goes for the double Ice Beam. Oh wow, he's probably going to double up into the Ice Beam. But this lets me take out Ludicolo for free, actually, and I keep Gengar in another turn. This could be bad news for my opponent. I would have taken out Gengar this turn, because now I got more shenanigans, such as Icy Wind and other such things, as I can actually just Sludge Bomb the, Togekiss and Paralyze it. Paralyzing Togekiss is big because it might be Choice Scarfed, and if I can get a paralysis on the Togekiss and the Sludge Bomb, so it's a Tailwind, so he's going for the win here as I pick up a paralysis. Alright. I'm actually not even worried about Togekiss anymore either, because I have Virizion in the back, and this lets me know that his last Pokemon is indeed Kangaskhan. And he made a grave mistake not KOing Gengar. So now I can just Thunderbolt and Sludge Bomb. So I should not be able to take out the Politoed, but I should put it within KO range. And Sludge Bomb should pick up the KO on Togekiss here. Thunderbolt should do at least 50%, instead she does 75% to my opponent. Well, he has a Citrus Spray though. He scalds the Gengar slot. Still not too worried. I'm actually going to send out, let's see. Next most viable Pokemon to send out is actually going to be Virizion. Why? Because I can protect the first turn and actually Thunder Wave the Kangaskhan. Assuming he has Kangaskhan, but most likely he has Kangaskhan. If he's going to set up with that Water Spout, I'm just going to Paralyze the Kangaskhan if he doesn't have Fake Out, and if not, then I get to switch into Mawile, and I believe I should still be able to pull this off. So I'm just going to Protect with Virizion this turn and Thunder Wave the Kangaskhan. Note being that reason being, Mawile can Play Rough KO the Politoed, and he can Play Rough Blastoise for over 50%. So for the most part, it's looking like this might be a win for me. He just wasn't prepared for the Thunder Wave shenanigans, and Thunder Wave being a lifesaver in this battle. So again, my opponent's biggest mistake was probably not KOing Gengar that turn, because I was able to get Sludge Bombs off. Seeing as how Gengar hit most of his team rather hard too, I would have taken out Gengar in the first place, you know. As he does Mega Evolve, I protect with Virizion. He protects with Politoed, but I do Paralyze the Blastoise, and Parahacks that turn. Alright, so I'm just going to Leaf Blade and Thunderbolt. No questions about it. I had this game under control. And even if he did have Fake Out on the Blastoise, I still would have been able to take it out. So my opponent didn't really have too much control over this battle to begin with. I feel like I had control, and I was in the driver's seat for most of this battle. So sometimes this is where your mistakes come in. Like, you know, if you make mistakes early, they will pay off in the end. They will get you in the end. So you kind of want to keep the momentum on your side, as Virizion does 90% to that Kangaskhan, and the Thunderbolt should KO the Politoed here. Alright, this is perfect as he goes for the Water Spout, and that's not going to do almost any damage, as another Leaf Blade and a Thunderbolt should pick up the win here. And GG to my opponent. He has a great team idea, but personally, I feel that the Water Spout Blastoise may not be the greatest in some cases, as he does leave and as he forfeits and leaves. Well, good game to my opponent, though. That is a really strong team. I mean, I admire the idea. In concept, it's really strong. So sometimes, you know, it takes a lot of work with your teams. Like, you got to understand, sometimes you can't just build a team and throw it out there. You have to work with your team for a while. And just such as this team, I've only had it for about 2 weeks. So I want to make this team stronger. But with you guys, me talking with these battles, because these are extra battles I get on top of what I do on Battle Spot. So it's like, kind of like doing extra credit on your homework, you know? That extra credit is going to pay off in the long run, because these are battles I need to see how the team functions, you know, learn some damage calcs. Maybe I'll take away speed from the Mawile, put it back into some HP so I can survive more hits. Maybe I will switch to an optimizing offensive Thundurus. But for the most part, I do love him in the bulk form, and he's working really well with bulk. So I feel like this change of the team is actually making quite a bit of difference. And let's look for one more battle. And as usual, you know, I love you guys to leave some commentary for me. You know, I feel like I'm trying to improve away. I feel like I have improved over the couple of days in the commentary department, as I am also trying to find more time to upload. You know, I'm trying to do daily content for you guys. I understand the channel is relatively new, so my expectations are big for this channel. You know, hoping that maybe in the near future, as we got some premiere events coming up, and we have a bunch of regionals coming up too, so those would be fun to attend. Okay, so my opponent has Hydriegon, Landorus, Charizard, Cresselia, Rotom, and Bisharp. Alright, so my biggest concern is honestly the Landorus, but as I feel that I'm not too weak to Landorus anymore, I can take him out. Virizion actually hits 4 of his Pokemon really, really hard. That being, I can close combat the Hydreigon, I can Stone Edge the Charizard, I can Leaf Blade the Rotom, and I can close combat the Bisharp. So my motto was never to put Bisharp and Hydreigon on the same team, because even though they kind of counter each other's semi-weaknesses, I feel that Bisharp could easily be overpowered at some point. Overpowered by another Pokemon anyways. And Cresselia would be my biggest thing, but with the Hydreigon and Gengar, I can double up on Cresselia's. So I'm actually going to open with Gengar to get any Icy Winds off, or Will-O-Wisp that are really needed. And actually, I'm going to open Gengar Hydreigon. Reason being is I'm not affected by Intimidates. I can get Dark Pulses, Earth Powers off really quickly. I can hit most of his team for at least 50% with this team. So that sounds like a very strong open against him. And I'm actually going to take the Virizion as well, seeing as Virizion can hit really, really hard too. And my last Pokemon choice, I am opting in for the Suicune, but he can hit me pretty hard from any angle if I have Suicune. And being that Charizard Y is going to bring some Sun up, that might impede my Scald. So the last slot is either going to go to Thundurus or Mawile. And I want to take Thundurus because I can Taunt and Thunder Wave a lot of his Pokemon. Well, I can Thunder Wave 4 out of the 6. Or I could take Mawile, seeing as I can get Sucker Punches off and play rough. For the most part, I'm actually not too worried about this. So I want to take Mawile, but I feel like Thundurus is actually the stronger option here. And yeah, I'm going to opt into Thundurus here. And let's see if my opponent's picked this team, as my opponent has not picked this team either, so he's really thinking this through. Alright, so this dual option, let's see how good it works. As he opens Charizard and Bisharp, okay, it's actually really good for me. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to Icy Wind, and I'm going to lock myself into Flamethrower, because once the sun goes up, Flamethrower becomes one of the hardest hitting moves on it I can use against him. And Icy Wind will break his Sash. And this might backfire on me, but if he switches in, he's going to be taking a lot of damage as well. So Icy Wind is here to slow down anything. Let's say he protects with Charizard, as he called it, Smog. Nice. But as he protects with if he protects with Charizard, you know, I can get a lot of clean hits off. Granted that I don't want to lock myself into moves early, as he does Mega Evolve. Protects with Charizard. Double protect. Okay, he's scouting me out now. But he might not. He might actually know that I just gave away my scarf because now he knows that I outspeed. As my opponent disconnected. Okay, now I won the battle. Yeah, he forfeits and left. I don't know why he would do that. Alright, I don't know why people do that sometimes. Maybe he just can't handle this open. Maybe he didn't bring Rotom and he just doesn't have anything to switch into that flamethrower. Alright then, well, I'm gonna get you guys another battle then. Wow, surprise, you know, you just want to see people finish the battle sometimes. Alright, let's look for another battle. And as Hunted stacks? Alright, oh wow, okay, finally an unconventional team. Let's do this. Okay, so that Tornadus T in its Therian form is really actually a cool Pokemon. Believe it or not, that thing gets access to Icy Wind. It is one of the few flying types that gets Icy Wind, has a nice base 121 speed. It's very fast, very optimal. It can get a lot of moves off that you won't even expect. It has Tailwind support. It has Icy Wind. It has a lot of options on it. Hurricane, Heat Wave. Give it a Life Orb. You'll be doing some solid damage to everyone. The Dragonite might just be a weakness policy Dragonite. And actually that the Tornadus T actually has a very good option because now he actually probably does have the Hurricane because of the Politoed. Now Rain is optimizing the accuracy on the Hurricane, so now Hurricane hits 100% of the time, which could also mean that, you know, Dragonite might be a special attacking Dragonite, but I almost doubt it. But also because Dragonite gets Hurricane. So very smart team by my opponent here. I'm actually going to open with Hydreigon because I can hit most of his damage most of his team for solid damage with Dark Pulse and Earth Power. I can hit most of it really, really hard. Another Pokemon to take here is honestly going to be... I want to take my Mawile right away. I feel like I can hit most of his team very hard, but if that Raikou is Life Orb, he's going to one-shot my Mawile. So I'm actually going to open Thunderous Hydreigon to paralyze and to Thunderbolt just about anything. Hydreigon can counter out what Thunderous can't hit too well, and it should be a fair matchup against my opponent. I actually want to bring Mawile because it's my strongest way to hit that Venusaur. It's the only way I'll probably be able to take out Venusaur this battle at all. And my last Pokemon, I don't want to take Brizion, seeing as he's outsped by the Tornadus. And she can get Hurricaned, and that's not going to be good on me. So my last thoughts are going to probably either go to Gengar or Suicune, as it's probably going to be the Gengar. Seems like I can Wisp and Sludge Bomb and get Icy Wind off for speed control of my own. That's probably my best option here, because Brizion would be great, but it can't hit too hard in the end. So yeah, I'm going to opt in for Gengar and take these four. Hopefully it goes well. As he opens Politoed and Raikou. Alright, so the Hydreigon and Thunderous opening are actually going to be great for me, as I'm actually going to Earth Power the Raikou slot. Or, yeah, it's probably my strongest option right now. Or I'm going to go back. You know what? I'm just going to Dark Pulse that slot. Maybe I can get some solid. Maybe I can get like around 50% damage. And I'm actually going to Thunder Wave the Politoed slot, only to slow down Politoed. As you guys know, it could be a Choice Scarf Toad, but you guys know how I love my Thunder Wave. As Dark Pulse, wow, not doing anything. Oh wow, I thought that would do more damage. Whew, that could have backfired quickly. As well, another Thunder won't KO me, but I'm still gonna Dark Pulse. You never know. And I'm actually gonna get another Thunderbolt off here. Just do some damage to that Politoed. Reason I Dark Pulse was to even out the coverage. Earth Power should have done over 50%. This might be an Assault Fest Raikou, because I don't think it could be that bulky right now, because I should be outspeeding, unless it's just invested in the pure bulk. But the paralysis on that Politoed almost lets me I get a free Thunderbolt off. He's going to be switching into a Thunderbolt. He doesn't have any Pokemon that want to take a Thunderbolt. And if I can do a lot of damage effectively to his team, you know, and on the bright side, Dark Pulse might actually, as he protects the Politoed, Dark Pulse should actually, you know, has a chance to flinch, as I do survive. Alright, so Dark Pulse is doing around 30 to 35%, so it is a 3-shot, and he has a fair amount of his HP left. That's a bit more than a third, but I feel like another Dark Pulse might be a KO on it. And I'm actually going to Thunderbolt. I don't know if I can. He should be. If I can get the flinch, that'd be clutch. I'm actually going to Thunderbolt the Politoed and get some damage off. As the Dark Pulse does connect, does not knock him out. He gets the extra sensory off, and Politoed gets his Ice Beam off. And okay, Hydreigon survives. That's great. I'm actually switching into Mawile now, and I'm going to play Rook the Politoed slot, or I could Sucker Punch the Raikou slot would actually be a better option because that's priority, and I can get another Dark Pulse off. Probably the safest things I can be doing right now, as I do lower their HP. And I'm gonna Dark Pulse Politoed, and I'm gonna Mega Evolve Sucker Punch the Raikou slot. I'm Mega Evolving now because I don't want to lose. I don't want to like. Oh, finally, about time. Okay, so Dark Pulsing Politoed might actually be a smart idea, seeing as I can get the. There's a chance for flinching and there's a chance for paralysis, so the odds might be in my favor here. As he sends out the Dragonite. So something I could do is I could actually Dark Pulse Dragonite and play rough. This should KO Dragonite actually, because I'm gonna break. It could go. Oh, as it protects. Ooh, smart by my opponent. Wow. Drawing out the Focus Fire as he gets a Scald off on a Mawile. Does it burn? And it burns. Oh wow. Some of my opponents are so lucky on me. It pretty much annoys me sometimes when hacks aren't in my favor. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But I feel like my opponents, when they Scald, they always get the burn. When I Scald, I never get the burn. And that's kind of how the game we play is against us. You know, you just gotta have fun with it. I mean, yeah, it is annoying. Just try not to rage in public. I mean, I feel like I'm different on Showdown than I am on Battle Spot, because on Showdown, you know, to me, you know, no one really cares to me. In my opinion, as I see, I don't feel like too many people it doesn't matter too much about the Showdown ladder. But it's a very effective one to an extent. And I'm actually just gonna lose this battle over here. Yeah, there's no way a Gengar can make a comeback from this point. But for the most part, yeah, unconventional team here, and I feel like he got me there. You know, I feel like it would have been too obvious that he drew in both Pokemon, you know, Dark Pulse plus that. So I should have just taken out the Politoed. And that's probably the smartest move I could have made there. Take out the Politoed that turn. Because then that way Mawile would have taken no damage and a few other things. I'm just going to Icy Wind here. I got nothing more to do, you know. I guess it's still in the realm of possibility that I can win if Icy Wind picks up a KO from here. Because if Icy Wind picks up a KO and Politoed is paralyzed, I still have a chance to win. Granted, Venusaur versus, I'm assuming it's Venusaur. Venusaur versus Gengar isn't the most optimal matchup here, but you just never give up on it. As it's resisted, and it actually hits Dragonite, but it does not KO. Weakness policy, obviously, and it gets the Dragon Claw off, lowering me down to 1%, and the Scald. So GG to my opponent, and as he leaves, all right, well, later. So as you guys can see, sometimes the hacks are not with us, and sometimes they are. It happens from time to time, but for the most part, those were some pretty fun battles. And as I consider myself to still be on somewhat of a losing streak, hopefully I can figure it out. You know, the meta is ever changing, so maybe there's just like links here and there, and sometimes it's just me. You know, sometimes I make the wrong play. Like sometimes I'll get the perfect play call, sometimes I won't. But for the most part, it just happens from time to time. You know. And it's the game we play, you know. Just remember, RNG will be on your side, RNG won't be on your side. So sometimes be thankful when you get that rock slide, because when you get that rock slide flinch, because you never know. Be thankful when your moves don't miss, because you just never know what can and can't happen in this game. Well, alright then, guys. Thank you for being with me on this Sunday, and let's hope maybe I'll be here tomorrow too. I should be here tomorrow. Same times as weekdays. Try to be active around, like, get my videos up between 2 to 3 p.m. Western Pacific time. So hopefully it all works well, and thank you guys. Alright, have a beautiful day.